All right, Ralph is in. Can you hear us okay, Ralph?
I can hear you. Perfect. Good to see everybody.
Great. Okay, we'll get going here for Ralph right away. So Lance, fire away with the first question for Ralph.
Good morning, Ralph. Lance Lysowski from the Buffalo News. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Good to have everybody back. Just to start out with, you have a lot of experience coaching short camps, the way that you're about to be heading into this season. So I'm just going to ask you, what is the key to having a successful camp and to run one efficiently and effectively to get everybody ready for competition in such a short amount of time?
Well, first and foremost, we are continuing a story, not beginning a story. So we have our core players who are familiar with our system. We had contacts through the off season in different forms, but clearly we need to reawaken the principles of play and the concepts that we were working on last year with the core guys. And with the new players, we have all kinds of methods of communicating with them. We do have a limited time window, as you well know, in training camp, but we will go beyond that at their option to do small Zoom catch-ups and deepen some of the teaching that we do. And you need to be creative. We all know this is going to be a season where flexibility, spontaneity, and an open mind are going to be really important, because we do not know exactly what the rules will be in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or 6 weeks. So what we need to do is keep the windows small. And within those windows, you need to drive for the pace and for the style of play that you want right off the hop, no matter how the players feel the pain. We have 13 days of ice. We will give some days off in the meantime, but it's the quality of execution right off the bat, and the importance of getting our principles of play nailed on a daily basis gives us the best chance for a good start on the 14th.
Hey, Ralph. Heather Prusek here from News 4 in Buffalo. Good to see you. Hope you had a great holiday season. Happy New Year. I have two questions for you. One is, given the limited time that you guys have in this extended off season, players haven't played a game in so long now. First question, what are your realistic expectations for where guys are going to be when you first hit the ice on Friday?
I mean, I think we have to be realistic that the break was long enough then that if you take, other than maybe the final 8 teams that were in the playoffs, everybody else also had a lot of time off. And what's going to be important expectation wise, it's important that we default to our team concept and to a team game, because we're going to need each other. We're going to, nobody will be able to play super high minutes right off the hop. We're going to need depth up front. We're going to need depth on defense. We're going to need 2 goaltenders who are up to their A game. We play 10 games still in the month of January, and we don't start till the 14th. So just that alone shows you how we're going from 9.5 months of no hockey to 10 games in the month of January. So it will need to be a team effort. It will need to be, everybody will need to pitch in to get us going. And I think that, we're excited about the physical conditioning of the players at the moment. I think they've done their very best in difficult circumstances to stay up to speed, but we won't know the reality of that until we're, a good week into training camp, and we will be monitoring that closer than ever before. Sports science will play a bigger role than ever before, because nobody has experience with this long a break, and we need to be careful that we don't push the guys too hard and that we get it right, so that in the end we can execute in the games when they come.
Ralph, John Worrell, good seeing you.
Hi, John.
Just not really sure what you did to anger the hockey gods and never get an 82-game season. But the concept, the concepts and the X's and O's you talked about are one thing, but, winning is, as you well know, is also about culture. And how do you go about reestablishing that, with your core players who've had an extended break and the new pieces and really a short ramp-up time with this training camp?
You know, first and foremost, I think that all the players are excited about the group we have together now. We were able to retain our core of forwards and defensemen and goaltender that we as a club believed were important for us to move forward with, and we've added on in ways where we have different role players. If you look at up front with Hall. And, you look at Stahl, Eakin, and Reeder, we've really done some exciting things there to bring in specialists. And we've got depth, pushing hard on the specialists. And with Matt Irwin on the defense, we think we've added to our penalty kill and, defensive strength. But, it's going to be a lot about getting the confidence in the mindset of the whole group. We feel that it's there. We feel there's a belief, and we did take a lot of good things out of last season. None of us are happy with the final result, but there were elements of the team game that were there, and they're there for us to awaken in the minds of the players. And if we can do that early, we should be able to build confidence in the game that we know will work for us. And the depth that we were missing last year is in our roster now. And with that, we're excited to move forward.
Hi, Ralph. Mike Harrington here.
Hi, Mike.
Earlier on his call, Kevin said one of the things the organization is doing is embracing the challenge of this new division. You spent time, I'm sure, figuring out how do we get ahead of the Panthers and the Habs, and now that's all out the window. You have on paper at least what looks like a much more daunting task, especially when you look at those first 18 games of the schedule. How do you approach a completely changed schedule, changed group of opponents when they're the only 7 teams you're going to play?
Well, the focus within those series, you've really got 7-8 game series that you want to win, and the challenge, as we all know, will be big. But we need to, number one, we're excited about the way the challenge of this nature, with all the distractions around the testing and the lack of fans and all the things that are not normal for us. Why not the season also being a completely refreshing kind of approach? And I think it's within each and every one of those seasons within the season is the way we're approaching it as coaches. We've got 7 mini seasons within where we need to find ways to get the edge on the opponent, and the coaching staff will be challenged, the players will be challenged, that as we develop through those 8 games against each team, we find ways to find an edge. And it's from a coaching perspective, it's an exciting one because it's never happened before. So we're going into some no man's land here, and only at the end will we know who does the best with the opportunity ahead of us. But there's no nights off in this division. For our fans, it's exciting. So many big name teams in our division, and I have to say that the players that we've spoken to thus far are also looking forward to the challenge and want to raise the game to be able to match it. But I can't give you any definite answers right now, because I'll be honest with you, we need to feel our way through this new environment, and we need to be as good as anybody else in dealing with it, and that is our challenge. Without complete answers at this moment, but they will grow as we get into this game.
Hi, Ralph. It's Bill Hoppy. Dylan Cozens has certainly stood out during the World Juniors, but he's going to be joining you guys late. Do you still? Will he be behind the curve? And do you still expect him to compete for a roster spot? What are your thoughts on Dylan joining the guys late?
Well, let's all be honest. We're looking at our roster right now as if it was completely healthy. And the reality is, with the pace that we're going to be on, we're going to need some depth. The way you never know the way testing can fall, all the different things that we're learning also from the Buffalo Bills. And they have a different world, of course, in football, but there are lessons for us to take into our group, and we will need depth. And we're excited to see what Dylan is doing there as a leader. Jack Quinn has been excellent. If you have a chance, JJ Paterka from Germany has had an outstanding start so far. We need to see how they come out of the World Championships. We will have time. Everybody here knows we can play players up to 7 games before we need to either keep them or place them somewhere. So we're in no rush. Let's just let it happen organically. What we'd like to do is bring especially Dylan and Jack to camp and see where everybody else is at that time. It will be a week at least into camp, and hopefully we can see them in our second inter-squad game. So we'll be playing 1 game on the 4th and 1 game on the 9th, and have them in that game on the 9th, and then move from there.
Hey, Ralph, Heather Prusak here again.
Mm-hmm.
When talking to Kevin earlier, he said that when it comes to this playoff drought the Sabres have, he took a deep dive into, maybe why things didn't work in the past and what can they learn from when it comes to moving forward. For you as a head coach, how do you balance sticking with your long-term vision and what you guys want to accomplish, but also understanding that this fan base has gone through so many hardships and not seeing the postseason for as long as they have? How do you balance that?
Well, in pain, there's always opportunity, and the pain of the fans would be our opportunity. Should we have success, we know what will happen here in Buffalo and how exciting that will be. And so no matter what you do, as small as your picture needs to be in this type of a season, and how, we will wake up every morning hoping the guys are healthy and everybody passes the test properly, and we can go back to work and then play hockey. We know there's going to be a lot of distractions, but the final destination is very clear for all of us that we're reaching for is the playoffs. But the pathway to do that is being outstanding in the steps along the way. And you know what, Heather, that's what we have to concentrate on as coaches. We can't get distracted by that big picture in a negative way. It needs to be a positive end result for us. And it is for that we will be doing everything we do beginning on the 1st of January when we go on the ice. You will feel the passion of the players, the coaching staff, the supporting staff and management. And we're all, we feel we're a much better team than we were when we left the ice in the middle of March. Again, I want to underline, we are continuing a story. We aren't beginning a new story here. We had a much longer break than any of us wanted, but again, the NHL and the NHLPA has made it possible for us to reach for a season now. That is going to inject a lot of excitement in our players who have waited longer, especially the returning players have waited longer than a lot of the other ones in the league. So we are using this energy and this excitement for the first time, and we need to make it an advantage. But again, I just believe, and you all know it, working as hard as we can on a daily basis here is our best chance to get to those dream results at the end of the regular season.
Hey, Ralph, John Vogel here. Good to see you.
Hey, John. Good to see you.
As you and your staff spent the offseason looking at what went right or wrong with Jeff Skinner last year, what did you see, and how will that help this season with your second season with Jeff?
Well, first and foremost, it was the dialogue that needed to be open and everything on the table. And I had a couple of excellent chats with Jeff. I've spoken a few times in the public about the interesting tool of Zoom, where the players of today are so comfortable with chatting on their telephones or on their laptops in their home environment. And everybody here knows at my age it's not the norm, but I thought a lot of the chats this summer were excellent, but I really enjoyed mine with Jeff. I thought both of us worked hard in those conversations to work together towards solutions. When a player doesn't have a good season, I need to be the first one to look in the mirror and say, what can I do differently as a coach? And what's exciting is I think Jeff and I were doing that together. And, it's his comfort with the way we want to play and the commitment we need from every player without the puck. That went up as the season went on. We thought he came back strongly from his injury and that he was, we looked at a lot of the video our final 10, 12 games in the last few months. And you could see a lot of good habits coming into Jeff's game, and his offense will grow out of that once he feels comfortable with what we demand from everybody without the puck. And so I'm excited, as with the group as a whole, to build on what we experienced through the summer and our conversations away from the rink. I've always found that players often improve the best through a pause and through a break. And all that matters and what's important is what goes on in their heads while that happens. And specifically to Jeff, I really look forward to coaching him in a few weeks here again.
Hi, Ralph. It's Lance again. Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought there. Rasmus Dahlin, his game at 5-on-5, especially the further he got out from the concussion last season, it seemed like he became much more well-rounded. His game away from the puck improved with added strength, with experience. Do you anticipate him having a greater role at even strength this season?
Yeah. So your first comment about losing your train of thought, we probably all will have that happen once in a while because we haven't been doing this. This is a good warm up for all the talks we're going to be having here on a daily basis. But, we're excited about, I've used that word a lot. That's going to be the word of the day. But if I look at the strength and the physicality, you will visually see that in the first skate on the 1st of January that, Dahlin has really used the time properly. Hopefully by far the longest break in his career. Very few players have it at that age where you can still put on so much muscle mass. And mentally also, he's another one where there's been some good conversations through the off season. He is extremely competitive and wants to be a big part of us taking another step. And I certainly see with the game pace that we're going to be on, sharing the minutes through the lineup, whether it's rolling your D, rolling your forward lines, you're going to see more of that from all teams, just as we try to get ourselves up to speed, So, I definitely see his minutes growing. I also see his hunger to learn the game away from the puck and to take that responsibility defensively that they don't usually have as they grow up when they have so much skill, a younger player of his amazing skill set. And, in many ways, we need him to grow for us to be able to reach our goals.
Ralph, John Morrow, once again. You talked about the continuity and how this is just a continuation from last season. How will you go back to the morning in Montreal on March the 12th and remind the players of what opportunity they lost because the season was cut short and you missing the playoffs in the way you did?
I think that would be more a conversation in principle. I agree with you there that you always need to look at your past. And so what we want to take with is many, many things that we're evolving in the 5-on-5 game. I know that we all know that our specialty teams need to go to a higher level, and there were sections of the game that need improvement, but there was a confirmation, and all of us here that are not only working in some way connected with the Sabres, but also love it when the Sabres have a good game and a good day and a good period, could feel the game that we need to play. We just weren't doing it consistently enough. And I think that's going to be the key word here is have the players, yes, frustrated and angry for the final result, but excited and confident about those moments of confirmation. And we will be driving that much more into their mind than the failures of last year. My style is much more to confirm and to have players think about how to play and not to think about how not to play, and I think that you always need to take that pain and put it out there, which I will do. So that's what you're speaking about. The end result was we weren't in the playoffs, but the end result was also within that experience of 69 games, we did see signs of the team we want to be. And the players believe that with the additions in our lineup right now, the consistency, which we were missing last year, has a much higher chance of happening. And we were often picked apart on the road because of a lack of depth. We had an excellent home record where we had more control over our matchups. And with this lineup, what I mentioned before, just rolling the lines on the road will be much more realistic and possible and still give us a chance to be very successful.
Hey, Ralph, Alex Brasky with the Batavia Daily News.
Hi,
We
Alex.
see what's going on with the Buffalo Bills. Have you pointed to that with your players as if to say, if you do the right things, if you stick to the principles, this is how quickly things can turn and in a big way?
Well, we haven't really addressed it too often, Alex. I had the last longer Zoom meetings with players was in November, where we then targeted coming back together after Christmas. We're really pleased that it's happening this way, but the Bills will certainly be a part of the conversation. Everybody in the Sabres organization is a Bills fan, and we're excited about what's happening there. But again, it is it's such a different sport and a different pathway to success, and we need to concentrate on what's good for us. We will take, more than anything, my relationship with Sean will give us the opportunity to understand what's gone on behind the scenes, to manage the distractions as well as they have. But I think for us, it's good to feel the energy of the city, Buffalo, to see the way the fans reacted to the Bills winning the division with over 8,000 people at the airport. Those are things that we certainly, on the positive side, will tap into with our players to reach for that kind of thing happening around us.
Hi, Ralph. It's Bill again. Casey Mittelstadt's kind of been lost in the shuffle a bit. Just what have you learned about him, talking to him this offseason, and what are your expectations for him this year?
Casey had a really strong finish in Rochester last year, and so we believe that first of all he went back to the minors to learn and to grow and develop, and after some bumps at the very beginning, he really embraced that opportunity, and now we have to see how that transfers into the National Hockey League and into our roster. He will be an important part of our group this season, and I love his competitiveness. I love his spirit. He gives us a lot of options. He's certainly a player who can play on any power play with his skill set, and let's just be we're very patient to see how this comes out to play now. But I want to remind you all that he was the strongest finishing forward in Rochester before we paused. He was about to come back into our lineup with the Sabres, and it's taken a little bit longer, but I know he's going to be looking forward to the opportunity.
Mike Harrington again, Ralph. You mentioned earlier this is a different season, and it certainly is going to be because of all the protocols involved, and everything that's been routine over many years is now probably going to be different. What are the biggest challenges to coaching this year? Is it lack of meetings? Is it unable to have guys together to build a team? Like, how difficult is it going to be just to coach and build a team in this environment?
Well, I think this press conference is an example. I would much rather be sitting with you all in a room and having these conversations. So believe it or not, this is maybe how the odd team meeting will be happening this season. We like I said to you early in the call, we don't know how the protocols are going to develop as COVID develops in one way or another in the next month or 2 months, and we're ready for everything. The good thing is that we aren't a new group. I think that this would be a difficult situation because the personal contact. I mean, I as a head coach haven't been allowed to be around the players yet, and just by the regulations, I can't even be in contact with the players till the 31st. So just imagine that. Like, when I came last year, we had about 3 weeks of small chat, and as they were coming into town, and one guy here for a coffee and over there and have a meal together. And so it's the personal contact, Mike, that we will not be allowed to have. That is difficult for me. I try to have contact on a regular coaching stint. I would be looking to at least have some form of direct contact with every player every day. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to get that much exposure to the players other than on the ice, where we're also supposed to keep distance, right? So it's going to be complicated, but we will deal with it to the best of our ability. As the NHL showed in the summer, they did an amazing job of pulling off those playoffs, which we all enjoyed watching. And now we need to do the same again, a regular season and playoffs. And we will be very disciplined within the framework we have, and we will need to be extremely creative. Put it that way, Mike. We'll have to be really creative to get the messages across, to motivate the players properly, and to teach them to the best of our ability. It will not be normal for us to do it, and the players will also have to, go beyond the norm to get information into their minds. So overall, a challenge, but I love adventures, and we're all going on one, that's for sure.
Hi, Ralph. Brian Koziel from WGR. I know you mentioned early on maybe depth being important and guys not being able to play a ton of minutes, but I'm wondering maybe if you can kind of crystal ball how the season will look long term. We tend to see after holiday break, the All-Star break, like guys come out and we see fast-paced hockey, guys want to skate, guys want to go hard. With the setup of this year, with limited travel, staying in a certain city for maybe a few days at a time, almost kind of like playoffs, do you think at some point it'll flip to maybe we'll see where guys can play more, and we'll see what maybe, us onlookers would say is maybe better quality hockey once the year gets going?
I agree with that, Brian. This is almost like an old school play yourself into shape, where the guys didn't work out all summer 30 years ago, and by December they wanted to be at full speed. But the difference is these guys have been working out extremely hard, and I'm very curious to see from a sports science side how that then transfers into the one element that they haven't seen enough of in the off season, and that is the physical side of the game of hockey. Like the contact. If you do a one-on-one down low and you are permanently being pushed and hit, it's a different kind of physicality, and it gets your lactic acid flowing really quickly. And that's something that we've pushed players to try to do. But you know what it's like in summer, training mode. They're never going to have that, which we then have. And I agree with you. It will take, it will take a month to 6 weeks before that side of the game is back up to speed. And on that pathway, we need to monitor. We need to do all we can to avoid soft tissue injuries. We're going to be doing a lot of training off the ice. You're going to see days off between games that you maybe didn't see or expect, just because we believe it would be better to do it off ice than on ice. Our strength and conditioning leads, Ed Gannon and JT Allaire, have been so close to the players all summer, and their trainers, and they will play a big part in helping us getting these guys up to speed. So it's not just the on ice, it will be the off ice, and getting that right. I feel so confident about it just because of the staff that we have here in Buffalo. I could mention so many people right now, but the depth of our staff will certainly help us, and the experience of our staff, and we've kept that staff intact, and that's going to be important too here for the next weeks.
All right, great. Thank you for everybody for your time today and your questions, and thank you, Ralph, for taking the time to speak with us.
Hey, everybody stay healthy and have a good trip into 2021, and let's make it a great year. Thanks for coming out here today. Take care.